Welcome to The Explainer. You know, whether you love it or you hate it, there's a pretty good chance you've used it. Today, we're going to trace the incredible 4-decade journey of the software that pretty much defined the personal computer, Microsoft Windows.
So the big question is, how did we get from this, a blinking cursor on a black screen where you had to type everything, to this, a world of beautiful, intuitive graphics that you just click on? I mean, think about it. It went from a simple program to this massive, cloud-connected system running on billions of devices. The story of Windows, really, is the story of personal computing.
Okay, so to make sense of this huge journey, we're going to break it down into 5 key parts. We'll cover everything from the early days of code to today's cloud-connected world and even what comes next. Let's get into it. All right, first up, the early days. And believe it or not, our story starts before there were any Windows at all. It starts with a command line. Yep, before we could click, we had to type. Okay, so let's break down these first crucial steps. Back in '81, you had MS-DOS. That was the foundation, and it was all text. Zero graphics, just you and a keyboard. Then, in 1985, Windows 1.0 shows up. Now, it's important to know, this wasn't a full operating system yet. It was more like a graphical shell that you ran on top of MS-DOS. But hey, it gave us menus and mouse support for the first time. The real breakthrough, though, the one that really put Windows on the map, that was Windows 3.0 in 1990. That was the one that finally became a huge commercial success.
Okay, let's jump to the next era. This is where Windows didn't just run on computers, it pretty much helped put a computer in every single home. This is where things really took off. And the turning point? 1995. The launch of Windows 95 was, well, it was a phenomenon. This wasn't just some software update, it was a massive cultural event. I mean, they had a huge marketing campaign using the Rolling Stones song Start Me Up. The whole point was to make computers friendly and easy for absolutely everyone. And boy, did they succeed.
And look at these key innovations. What's so wild is how these features literally became the standard for how we use computers for decades. The start menu, the taskbar, think about it. These were brand new ideas back then, but they were so simple and so intuitive that we're still using them in some form today. Plus, it finally brought MS-DOS and Windows together into one clean package, which made everything so much easier.
But, you know, not every step was a home run. Windows 98 came along and built on that success, adding better internet and USB support. But then came its successor, Windows Millennium Edition, or Windows ME. Oh boy. It became infamous for being super unstable and frustrating. It was a huge sign that the old technical foundations just couldn't handle where computing was going.
And that whole experience with ME led Microsoft to a new mission. They needed to build a rock-solid foundation for the future. And the answer, funny enough, wasn't in their home user products, but in the stuff they were building for businesses.
And that answer was something called the Windows NT architecture. Now, this was a totally separate version of Windows that had been around since '93, built for businesses and big networks. The key thing here, it was designed from the ground up for one thing: stability. It was secure, it was robust, and it finally cut the cord from the old MS-DOS code for good. This was the future.
Which brings us to the great unifier, Windows XP. In 2001, Microsoft released this absolute game changer. It took that super stable NT architecture from the business world and brought it to everyone at home. It merged those two separate paths into one. And with that fresh new look, the blue and green theme, it became one of the most beloved and longest-lasting operating systems of all time. Seriously, people used XP for years.
But after that high, the journey kind of stumbled with Windows Vista in 2007. Look, it had some really important security features, but it was just slow. It needed a brand new, powerful computer to run well, and people were not happy. So, Microsoft did the right thing. They listened to the feedback, and just 2 years later, they came out with Windows 7. It basically took all the good ideas from Vista, fixed the performance issues, and became another massive fan favorite.
All right, on to the next major shift. The world was changing. It wasn't just about desktops anymore. Suddenly, it was all about touchscreens, smartphones, and being connected to the cloud all the time. Windows had to adapt, and fast. And that adaptation led to Windows 8 in 2012. This was a huge gamble. It was Microsoft's bold and, yeah, pretty controversial attempt to make one single operating system that would work perfectly on a traditional desktop and on a brand new tablet. It was a radical rethinking of everything we knew about Windows.
And what made it so controversial? Well, they got rid of the traditional start menu.
the thing everyone had used for almost 20 years. Instead, you got this full-screen start screen with live tiles. For desktop users with a mouse and keyboard, it was just jarring. It felt like two different worlds forced together, and a lot of people just didn't get on board.
So once again, Microsoft course corrected. With Windows 10 in 2015, they brought back the Start menu, thank goodness. But more importantly, they introduced a totally new idea: Windows as a service. What does that mean? Well, instead of these giant new versions every few years, Windows 10 would just keep getting better. It would get continuous updates with new features and security fixes all the time.
And that brings us pretty much up to date with Windows 11, which came out in 2021. It continues that same idea. It's got this modern, centered design, it's super focused on security, and really, it's all about laying the groundwork for the next big thing, a future where AI is woven right into the fabric of the operating system.
So after this whirlwind tour from version 1.0 all the way to 11, why does any of this matter? What's the real legacy here? Because, the impact of Windows is so much bigger than just what's on your screen.
I mean, the impact is just immense. For decades, Windows was the standard. It's how millions of us learned to use a computer in school. It became the absolute backbone for countless businesses around the world. And it created this massive ecosystem for developers to build all the apps and games we use. It literally shaped our idea of what a personal computer even is.
So when you look back, from a simple graphical shell sitting on top of MS-DOS, all the way to a cloud-connected, AI-powered platform, the evolution of Windows really just mirrors the evolution of technology itself. It's this incredible story of constant change and adaptation. Which, of course, leaves us with the big question. Windows defined the PC for decades. What's going to define the next era of computing?